host? How many of you loved seeing the story coming to life on the screen before you right now, right here tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for the creator who penned this amazing story. Stephenie Meyer is here. Max Irons, Abel, and Stephenie Meyer, everybody. Huge round of applause. So welcome to South Florida. You guys enjoying your time here?
Yes, I think we all just got here, but so far so good.
So far so good. Well, we brought you a packed house. What do you think about that?
Thank you guys for coming out and seeing our
Thank you very much.
Well, I gotta tell you, I was sitting right back there, I was listening to all of you, and I think I just told you guys a little bit ago outside that I heard oohs and ahs and claps. So I know that all of you enjoyed the movie. You must have plenty of questions in your mind. So if you just raise your hand, we can get started, and if not, I have a couple of questions myself. So does anybody have any questions for our guest? I see one back there.
Hi, I have a question. By the way, you guys are practice, by the way. This question goes to Stephenie. Stephenie, I have a question. How did as a filmmaker, I know it's a process from being from a novel to film. What kind of tools did you use in order to capture the same audience as the readers watching the also the
I mean, I think most of it was Andrew Niccol, the director, who also did the screenplay, is a genius. And so it was, from the beginning, I felt like I was in really good hands. There wasn't too much that I had to do besides just sort of be a part of the conversation, what we were doing, and talk about how we wanted what we wanted the feel of it to be, and that kind of thing. But I really, a lot of the credit just goes to Andrew and what he was able to glean as he shortened it down. That's part I can't do. I can't abridge.
Stephenie, I have a question for you. What was it like to see your story come to life on screen? I imagine that you were pretty involved with the production and the creation of the host.
I was on this one. It's a really interesting process because there's stuff that you lose with a book, especially this long, to a movie, and that's a little sad. But so many of the things that they were able to do just really had the heart of the story, and I was so pleased with. The casting is always such a big deal. If you can get that right, then things tend to work out. And I feel like the cast was just amazing on this. They did such a good job. It always makes me cry.
Some tears around here somewhere too. Right here in the front. Yes, ma'am.
What was it like writing the host?
The host was actually a really great experience. I wrote it while I was editing Eclipse, and I was kind of overwhelmed with vampires and red ink, and a lot of people kind of having expectations of what they wanted for the next book and knowing that I wasn't always answering those. And so I kind of needed a private place, and that's what the host was. It was just my own story again, and no one knew about it, and I didn't really know if I was ever going to publish it. And it was kind of back to my roots, you know, I was out in the desert, that's where I grew up, so I enjoyed my time with it for sure.
I loved it, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, right there in the front.
For Max? Having your father be in this industry, what was one of the most valuable lessons he's taught you?
Well, initially he told me not to be an actor.
Oh no.
He reminded me that it's a very competitive business. It's difficult. Yeah, it's not easy. But then once he saw I was serious, he said, well, be prepared for the ups and downs, the goods, the highs and the lows.
He did say be prepared.
Ignore my friends. But once he saw I was serious, he supported me.
Thank you.
Jake, I have a question for you. This isn't the first time you shared the screen with Saoirse Ronan, right? The Lovely Bones, I believe. You guys go back to that.
Yeah, briefly. It was nice to actually get to do a scene with Saoirse rather than just be in a scene that Saoirse's in. So that was a real treat. Yeah, I've been waiting to have something like this ever since then, for sure.
That was probably a relief to know that you're working with such a seasoned actress. I mean, essentially she's playing two characters in one. So was that, I mean, you just mentioned, Stephenie, the importance of the cast. That must have been a big one for you as well.
That was really huge because we knew that we were going to ask someone to play two characters. And initially, you know, this is actually a very complicated but independent movie. This wasn't done with the studio. because a lot of studios just didn't understand how you're going to make that clear. And the director and I always felt like, well, it's just a really great performance. This isn't going to be special effects, because a lot of people are thinking how you're going to do the special effects and whatnot. And we just knew we had to have a really great actress. And then we got Saoirse, and we were all very, very happy. She's done well.
What other questions do we got? Right here in front.
Stephenie, how did you get started as a writer, and what would you suggest for people who are wanting to become writers?
I got started really by accident. I got really involved with this story in my head, and I wanted to write it down so I wouldn't forget it. I guess a lot of me being a writer is due to my children, who erased my memory when they were born. Like, I can't remember anything. Anyway, and so, does yours work? Okay, yeah, I'll trade you for that. And so I wrote it down. I loved the process of writing. I really enjoyed myself. And so when I talk to people who want to be writers, there's a difference. Some people want to write, and some people want to have written. They want to be authors, but the actual writing process isn't their favorite thing. If that's the case, I say skip it and find something you love. But if you love to write, I always tell people, don't think about being published, don't think about other readers. In the beginning, just write for yourself and love it for yourself. And if you love it, that's the first step. Then, when it's finished, when it's done, when you're really happy with it, then bring someone else in. But don't spend your whole time thinking about the market you're writing for, or who you're going to show it to. Just please yourself.
An accent question, Max.
Yes, it was. I'm terrible at accents. Everything I do comes out back to front. But yeah, lots and lots of repetition. Yeah, basically. Did it sound okay?
Yeah.
Question right there in the back. Yes, ma'am. I think the question was, did you guys read the host before?
Yeah, I did. I think I read it in 3 sittings.
3 sittings.
Very long sittings. Yes, I didn't move, but 3 sittings. Maybe it was a week. I don't know. So long
It's a
ago.
big book.
It's a very, very big book.
Stephenie, have you been getting a lot of comparisons, Twilight and the host? I mean, 2 completely different babies for you, right?
Yeah, for me they're so separate, but there's always, because I wrote them both, you're always going to have that, because Twilight was this big deal.
Yeah, you were there.
There's always happens. There's always going to be comparisons, but I wish that we could separate them a lot more, because I feel like it's something that's so different, and what these gentlemen have done and what Saoirse's done is just this really amazing thing, and I wish we could do it in a vacuum, but of course it's not possible, so we'll just deal with what we have.
I don't know, would you guys agree? This is definitely a much more grown-up story as well compared to Twilight, right? I mean, we love our werewolves and vampires, don't get me wrong, but aliens are kind of cool too, right? Right there, yes ma'am.
Hi. Was there a scene you were particularly excited about filming, or a scene on screen for, I guess, all 3 of you, if you all read the book and one of you wrote it?
It's not a very sophisticated answer, but the fight scene where I got to attack Kyle and Wes and Jake was fighting Saoirse, I like that because that kind of thing rarely happens to me in life, so it sort of flatters the ego.
Before I saw the film on Saturday, I always thought it was Ian and Wanda's first date scene when he finally takes her outside. That was one of my favorites to film. That whole chase scene for me, I was really surprised. I had no idea how that was going to turn out, and I was really on the edge of my seat.
Maria.
Okay, she picked me.
Friend of mine.
Hi guys. My question is, the host, I think, was more meant for an adult audience, right? How do you feel about the movie being aimed towards a younger audience, like for your Twilight fans?
Well, I think that the people who invested in the movie would be really excited if all the Twilight fans came out to see it. I think that would be great for them. They'd be cool with that. I hope it reaches a little bit broader audience. This is the one that my dad likes to read. My uncle just saw it yesterday. it's a little bit more guy friendly because it's not. I mean, the other books are all about romantic love, and that's it. And it's from a very female perspective. So it's just about falling in love with a boy, which doesn't work for everyone. And these are about so many different kinds of love and loyalties, and it's a much broader story. And so I hope it finds a wider audience than the last one.
I think to add to that, Stephanie, I would say, just as a viewer who is here in the audience, it also shows the human spirit surviving. You know, at one point we were in the story and in the film, you know, we were barely surviving, but it shows that the human spirit can go on, and I think that that's a great emotion as well, an adult emotion.
Well, when you're a teenager in love, it feels like life and death, but this is actual life and death, which is kind of more fun.
Not to mention all the explosions and gunfire. Yeah. People getting shot in the head.
All right, guys, we'll have two more questions. Two more questions. You in the white shirt, waving your hand. That works.
Stephenie, your books create these really complex worlds. What's the writing process like when you're coming up with these ideas?
Coming up with the ideas is the easy part. For me, once you have, I mean, this story started with, I guess, 3 characters, 2 bodies. I had the idea of 2 people in one body in love with the same person. And that was the seed that it started from. And once you have an idea of your characters, all the rest of it sort of just grows around that. I've never had a problem keeping it, like, fleshing it out. My problem is going too long, always. And so, like, keeping it a nice, tidy story is not my gift. Being complicated is a lot more what I do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rosie. I just noticed Rosie. In the teal shirt right in the middle, our final question.
Stephenie, a common thread in most of your books is that the villains, so to speak, they're not really truly bad, they're just embodying their species. Was this a conscious decision, or if so, why is it not?
You know, I believe in, my life has a lot of really good people in it. And so I tend to look at people and try and understand their motives, and I think most people act in a way that seems reasonable and right to them. This doesn't apply to everyone, and in this, I don't have a lot of real bad guys, because the aliens are super nice. They're kind of like we were talking about, they're Canadians, you know, they're just really light all the time, and you know, so they're not bad, except that they've wiped us all out, you know, it depends on where your priorities are. In my other series, there are different levels of evil and kind of different levels of how sick some of them get. But, you know, I like to think the world is a good place full of good people. I get proven wrong a lot, but I guess I'm still hopeful.
Great to hold on to. All right, guys, well, we've wrapped it up. Thank you so much for coming out. Remember to check out the host March 29th.